Hello, and welcome to today's webinar, Accelerating Enterprise Innovation with AI Agents and Unified Data on Databricks. We're excited to have you with us. We're joined today by our partners at Databricks, who will be sharing their insights and perspectives as we walk through today's content. Before we dive into introductions, just a few housekeeping notes. This session is being recorded and will be shared with all attendees and registrants after the webinar. If you have any questions during the session, please drop them in the Q&A panel. Our speakers will address them at the end. Before we begin, a note on forward-looking statements from Databricks. Some of the content shared today may include forward-looking statements regarding Databricks plans, goals, and expectations. These statements are based on current information and are subject to change. They're not guarantees of future outcomes. We encourage you to view them in that context. And without further ado, I'll pass it off to Kareem to kick off speaker introductions. Kareem, take it away.
Thank you, Stephanie. My name is Kareem Gassasi. I'm AI Data Principal. I'm with the Connect Group, and I'm very happy to be on this webinar. Doc?
Thank you, Kareem. My name is Michael Doctoroff. I'm a Senior Director of Delivery here at Argano. I am the head of our data, analytics, and AI teams in the Connect business unit. A quick introduction about Argano. Argano is a global business and technology consulting firm dedicated to helping companies modernize, transform, and operate more efficiently through digital innovation. As a premier digital transformation partner, Argano delivers end-to-end solutions with deep expertise in data, artificial intelligence, and machine learning. Our data and AI practice empowers organizations to harness the full value of their data, turning raw information into actionable insights, enabling smarter decision-making, and unlocking new pathways for growth and competitive advantage. At this point, I'd like to thank Tim Boyle for joining us from Databricks. And Tim, please give us an introduction.
Thank you, Doc. Thank you for having me here. My name's Tim Boyle. I'm a Senior Director and Public Sector's Field CTO here at Databricks. I've been at Databricks for going on 7 years, and Databricks as a company has been around 12 years or so. And I'm one of the original founders within the public sector marketplace. Databricks, we are the data and AI company. And if you think about Databricks, we're simplifying the access and operations with data. And AI being a catalyst moment of late, we're democratizing that to make it simpler and more efficient in your operation. Databricks also is a purveyor, an inventor of technologies around data, such as the Lakehouse, and a pioneer within generative AI. So with that, I'd like to kick off the conversation here. I'm excited to be here. Doc?
Yeah, so Tim, thank you very much. That's a perfect segue into how should business leaders be thinking about Gen AI, not just as a tool, but as a core part of their long-term digital strategy?
Good question. And after I respond, I'd like to ask your perspective on that same answer. But when I look at AI, AI is an avenue or a channel, you might say, added to the mix for consumers or citizens to get to and interact with agencies and businesses. We have to have ethical and responsible principles, just like we have with human being to human being interactions in a call center or in a face-to-face paradigm. When you're working with AI, it's a great assistive technology, and it can act on your behalf, but it has to have those same ethical principles and design principles to make it efficient, robust, cost-effective. And then on the governance side, AI is predicated on trusted data, trusted and accurate data. And how you get to a high trust in your data is that data has to be highly governed, very secure in your customer estate. So there's a lot of things here. And if you want to go to the next slide, the technology part is one that's advancing quickly. And I would say it's one of the easier aspects. Working along with the technology, there's policy and process updates that need to take shape for AI to really be a valuable asset to an organization. and we're very helpful in helping customers think about adding data, adding generative AI, and changing their policies to suit it. So I'd like to flip it around to you, Doc, on that same question. How are you seeing organizations looking at AI or generative AI?
So great question and great answer, excuse me, Tim. But what we're seeing here at Argano is a lot of our prospective clients and existing clients are all interested in getting into the artificial intelligence space. However, some of them are struggling with actual use cases that make sense for them to start their AI journeys, right? So I know, Karim, you've got some thoughts on this as well in regards to the different type of AI journeys that Argano is experiencing.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I think initially there was a lot of clients who were primarily interested in chatbots, and or maybe they were basically looking at AI, but it was really in the POC kind of stage. So what we're doing with clients is just kind of break down the types of chatbots, first of all, that they can use. So we see three types here. So we have the out of the box one, which is basically the one that requires no code or low code. Easy deployment, you basically just turn it on and then you start working it. And then the second one that we also help clients with is the integrated one. This is where basically a chat bot where you need to kind of go to your backend, your database, usually via a technique, maybe retrieval, augmented generation, RAG. So you could have basically augmented and grounded responses. And finally, the third one that we actually also work with a lot of clients with is a custom chat bot, because they have unique needs or they just need to have a custom solution where the out-of-the-box chatbot would not help them. And then from a super high level, we also like to break down the types of AI into maybe three types, and kind of allows us to position the right solution for the client. So type one, I would say, would be machine learning. This is the traditional machine learning that everybody probably is familiar with. It's been around for a while. You're training the model, pattern recognition, predictive models, that sort of thing. And then we have Gen AI, and we just covered the chatbot, maybe agents. Genie, obviously from Databricks, is a great example of that, and we use it quite a bit. And then finally, we have Edge AI. Edge AI is basically embedded AI, which has certain use cases. Let's say when you have constraints in maybe connectivity or processing power. So something that runs on your cell phone, or something that runs on at a remote location, say an oil platform, where you need to have that kind of intelligence. So we feel like to have our position is to have a successful AI solution is very important to have strategic positioning of the different AI techs across the entire system based on the personas, the use cases, and the environment. Tim, I don't know if there's anything you can add about that and how maybe Databricks can help in this space.
Yeah, they're good responses. So I look at it in a couple ways. So from the Databricks perspective, using Databricks as a platform, I see kind of three aspects. One, AI provides a very good assistive capability for the developers and the preparers of data and data products within Databricks. So your developers, they're people that are coding in Python, your machine learning data scientists that are developing models and testing them. There's an assistant inside the platform that really helps add efficiencies and capabilities to their work streams. On the outside, there's an interface we call Genie. And Genie is a human language type interface where people that are not data savvy individuals can talk to the data, ask questions of it, refine questions, and have a pretty good multi-level conversation with the data, where the data is Genie's answering with the data appropriate for the response. So Genie is formulating the query based on what was asked and responding with the data tables that need to be involved in the response. And then in the third way, a platform to develop things like you're showing here, the machine learning, Gen AI, and edge computing solutions and applications. I see generative AI like a communication channel that's been added to the mix, and developing good, constructive interfaces through generative AI for chatbots. That makes good sense. edge computing, I see a lot more automation there where maybe a human's taken out of the loop for a little bit because you need a very quick response. So like in a cyber defensive posture, a change needed in a network situation where the generative AI compute is seeing a denial of service taking shape, and we want to do something automated quickly and then talk to a human being afterwards. So a lot of those cases are now coming to fruition, and Databricks is a great environment to build against each one of these.
Yeah, great
Thank you,
answer.
Tim.
Yeah, appreciate the insight there. And just one more follow up about Gen AI. Where are you seeing Gen AI specifically in the ecosystem that you are dealing with at Databricks?
Good question, because I think 2 years ago, there was a lot of hype when Gen AI hit the marketplace, and everybody was talking about how we could get to it. Where I've seen it in practical form, having taken shape over the last, say, 18 months, is in summarization capabilities. Like Kareem mentioned, some RAG capabilities also, but summarizing doctor's notes or manuals, whether it be for a doctor going into a patient visit or whether it be for a person asking an organization about a faulty piece of equipment that they purchased from them and the warranty, or some self-service help that they might get. So it's a chatbot, it's a summarization type skill that can be automated, and ultimately it helps initially give a communication in real time to that person of need on the other end. But ultimately, it helps lead that individual very accurately to a human being so that the interaction is very focused and efficient.
Yeah, thank you, Tim. So from Argonaut's perspective, we're definitely leveraging all the features that you just mentioned. And we're also, especially this year, we're really focusing on building solutions around Databricks, leveraging all the technology that we just mentioned, Genie being one of them, and then focusing now in, let's just say it's probably more and more complex solutions that target certain verticals. So one of the accelerators we're building at this point is around manufacturing, where we're focusing on providing real-time operational visibility, supply chain, demand fulfillment, and you could see areas there where we're leveraging the ML side of things. The chat bot, obviously, we're leveraging Genie. And actually, we could also be leveraging maybe also some edge AI, especially on the shop floor, closer to the machinery. And obviously, there's other verticals that we're looking to build accelerators for, probably retail, communication, finance. Our goal is to kind of build solutions as quickly as possible. We understand every customer's need is different, but we build for every vertical a good number of use cases that allow us to kind of provide that quick to value kind of solution in a timely manner, so that customers will again get beyond and past just the POC and the summarization into real world usage where they could use this to increase profitability or just operate their business more efficiently.
Yeah, Kareem, I would agree. At a higher level, I see a lot of synergies with just modernizing an analytic environment, because it's the same data behind the scenes that support highly accurate and real-time dashboard analytic reporting. That's the same data that's supporting the modeling or the AI models that are going to provide a chatbot, for example.
Yes.
You want accurate responses, timely responses, affordable, timely, and accurate responses from your AI agents. And ultimately, that comes from the same data. So it's left hand, right hand type of thing for an organization to adopt.
Yeah, and I think traditionally when people use the term unified data platform, and it's not necessarily a new concept, but now with Databricks, you basically have a unified data platform where you could put your tables and your storage, but now you also have another layer. You have the AI layer of all three types that could all basically overlay into your system. And then you could also introduce other concepts that maybe you probably needed additional tools that maybe now you don't, which is something that I think is a big deal, is data and AI democratization, which something Genie could definitely help you with. So This is basically empowering the SMEs, the product manager, the executive team. Those guys are obviously not going to be data scientists that probably don't know SQL, but they can engage with the system. They can chat with their data using plain English. And I think it just provides a complete holistic solution in one truly unified platform.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that platform provides a great collaborative environment because you have a variety of roles behind the scenes. The data engineers collecting the data from sources, whether they be real time or an archival batch type scenario, and pulling those data sets into the lakehouse, working with them, cleansing them, joining them to other data sets that you already had, and then passing them at a healthy transport, you might say, to the analyst community so they can build those BI capabilities, AI capabilities on top of them. So you have a nice concerted effort between engineers and data analysts and data scientists building those models and testing those models.
Yes. And I know we already discussed that earlier, but the whole thing is completely covered with governance. You have Unity Catalog, so you have a governance layer that kind of provides protection. So it's not an afterthought. It's not something you have to do after the fact. It is baked into the system, again, providing you with a one-stop shop, truly unified platform.
That's correct. Doc, did I interrupt something that you were about to say?
No, you didn't interrupt. I was just going to add on, to Kareem's unified data platform statement where, we're seeing a very large push for platform consolidation across many industries. And it helps with cost optimization. It helps with risk reduction. It's very performant. More improved IT efficiencies, and clearly you're much more agile getting to your data. And one of the things that we've been doing with our methodology here at Argano is to come up with a assessment and strategy wrapped around organizations' data. We go through a methodology that we've built over the last 2 years where we actually interview our subject matter experts within an organization, understand their pain points, and help them come up with a plan of attack or a playbook that we would help them design and implement a overall unified data platform. So that's what we've been working on. We've had a lot of success in the last 2 years with this type of work, and Databricks fits the model perfectly because it's one-stop shopping with everything in, whether it be the ETL piece, the data governance piece in Unity Catalog, you have the AI and ML features of the platform, and we're seeing a lot of companies being very successful in bringing things into one platform.
Yeah, great point, Doc. And something Doc always likes to say is garbage in, garbage out when it comes to AI, and he's absolutely correct on this one. And a lot of clients, a lot of companies, they kind of accept that. So this is kind of where the data assessment comes into play. Let's just first help you have clean data before we build this potentially a complicated system so you can get the most value out of it. So there's a lot of value in that kind of assessment, and we could even add agentic AI assessments before we build the system.
Yep. I like that you've grounded your unified data platform with Databricks within our Lakehouse concept, that data intelligence platform that I talked about. Because the best way to get there is, like I mentioned earlier, you're pulling data from various sources. But in a modernization effort, let's take the older world data warehouses where we've collected a lot of data already and merge one-to-many of those data warehouses into the Lakehouse concept. Because the more data you get under management in this unified platform, the better you're going to be with a holistic perspective of objects in your environment that you want to manage. And the Lakehouse adds functionality capabilities beyond the data warehouses of old. Data warehouses were very good at relational data, and typically that's what they were focused on. Outside of relational data, you're talking about another 80% of the data in an organization that's non-relational data. How do you incorporate that data in some of your analytical capabilities? So documents and imagery and locations, even weird data like LiDAR. where people are in a city or in an airport. How are they moving through efficiently in a simulated path? How do we look at efficiency gains through modeling? And it's a great place to start, and the unified data platform makes it all possible.
Thank you.
And we're going to go to the Q&A section now, correct?
Yes, great conversation so far, guys. At this time, if you haven't already, please feel free to put any questions that you would like the speakers to address in the Q&A panel, and we will get to them. We have a couple coming in right now. So one that has come up is, what types of business functions or processes are ripe for agent-based models today?
I can take this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. So I think from a super high level, I would say real-time operational visibility. You want to basically be able to, so whether you're in manufacturing or retail, especially if you're running a large operation, you want to have as much help as you can, being able to chat with your data, and maybe you could leverage those agents also that you were developing to kind of allow you to see a lot farther away than you can using traditional methods. So I think that'll be a prime use case for that. Go ahead, Tim.
Yeah, and I was thinking of along the lines of generative AI helping out in kind of mundane activities that we all do in our daily lives. And so if I look at healthcare, for example, looking over a heart scan, looking for plaque. Obviously, a doctor or a technician will know that, but AI can quickly evaluate a scanned-in image and give highlights to those technicians on where it may be, giving them a head start in the review and the evaluation. And then, when a doctor's about to come into the room with talking with the patient, having things summarized for him on recent physicals and drug interactions so that he's primed and ready to go. And so I like to think of it in a way as it's like having 1,000 interns that are immediately available to assist you in your next daily activity and being able to quickly manage and process.
Great. We have another one coming in right now. This one's from Jude. Have you found traditional RAG to be viable and production-ready solution, or have you moved towards graph RAG and other graph database solutions?
I'll touch upon that first, and then I'll kick it over to you, Kareem.
Okay.
I've found them both to be equally successful and equally, I don't want to say problematic, but an equal effort to make them successful and accurate. So, RAG provides a slightly different flavor, and it could be used very well in certain situations over just a regular RAG. So that'd be graph RAG over just generalized RAG. But I've seen them pretty much equally distributed across both usage and use cases that customers, but also in favorability, one over the other. It really depends on the data sets underneath formulating the response. I know that was kind of in the weeds, but Kareem?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. So I think earlier we discussed the 3 types of chatbots. I know we mentioned the out of the box, the integrated, and the custom. So I think, yeah, it depends on the use case. It depends on the system. And then your answer could just, the ultimate solution could be somewhere in between integrated and custom. When you get to custom, this is when you maybe start getting closer to graph RAG or a completely different model. But you're kind of like, when you, especially with graph RAG, you start to kind of go between option 2 and 3. And this is when you get to graph RAG, then you maybe have some unique requirements, maybe from the customer or from the business, where traditional RAG didn't work. So again, 1, 2, 3, or it could be 2.5 before you get to completely to 3.
Yeah, that's a good point. I've seen graph RAG being moved to from just a general RAG when hallucinations have been tough to control in the data set. It seems to be supportive of a tighter framework around controlling hallucination, from a technical perspective. But that's a good question.
Yeah. And then the one quick thing I would add, when you get into graph RAG, then your requirements would tend to be more workflow based. And again, because you do not want to have any kind of hallucination, this is the workflow and you want the system to follow it. And this is why you're tapping into, in essence, graph theory, which is what GraphRag gives you. And there's some open source libraries out there that allow you to get there.
Yep, 100% agree.
Great question, Jude. Thank you for sending that in. It looks like we have one more. Isaac sharing another question here. We got a fun one. Terminator versus human interaction. What are the balance and boundaries for this comparison when it comes to AI within Databricks?
Funny question, good question, but a question that I get asked more often than I think I would get asked. So I go back to the responsible AI that I talked about on a slide previously. There are responsible processing adjustments and procedural adjustments in developing, AI capabilities, human interaction interfaces, ethical considerations, removing bias in responses. All of those really have to be considered in an organization's use of AI. Because essentially you are taking the human out of the decision loop for some aspect of the decision loop, and you need AI to act with the same responsibilities and ethics that a human would be. Terminators, I don't think we're going to have machines creating machines anytime soon, but as long as we're responsible about the progression of AI in the world, I think we'll be fine. I know on the government side, there has to be a human in the loop between the government and an ultimate recipient. There is not 100% AI-driven process where somebody is denied a service or a target was determined without a human being being involved in the loop or the investigation. So I know that from the government perspective. Doc, on the commercial world?
Yeah, I would just say that to your point that guardrails would have to be implemented either via ML Flow or Unity Catalog just to make sure that, that there's still that human interaction to make sure things are working correctly.
Mm-hmm. And the one quick thing I would like to add here, it's good to look at AI like within some sort of workflow where you could insert the human element. And that's something that maybe you'd have a need for that maybe a year later, because you could sell the same solution to two different clients in the same industry, but they have different threshold, different areas. Or the threshold could even vary based on who's in charge. This person could say, for financial transactions, anything above 10,000, I'd like to have a human review it. Then another person taking the same position can say, well, my threshold is I'm going to lower it to 5,000, because at the end of the day, you just have maybe humans driven by past experiences. So you have those thresholds. You just have to have the ability for the customer and the client to alter those things as needed without having to completely rebuild the solution.
100% agree.
Great.
And I also think, keeping humans in the loop where cost of error is high is something important. Like, the stuff that's easy to do, you certainly let the AI bots take care of it. But anytime there's cost involved, I think you're going to want human interaction as much as possible.
Yep, 100% agree. I see a little connectivity to the robotics industry because robotics rely a lot on ML capabilities helping it problem solve through its environment. But again, I want to have a human being somewhere involved in that decision loop with what that robot's doing, whether it's assisting a heart surgeon on surgery. I want to make that surgeon a lot more effective and capable and accurate, not necessarily just giving the robot the ability to perform surgeries, 24/7 without doctors around. That's
Correct.
kind of my perspective is on it.
Great conversation, guys. I want to thank our speakers, Kareem, Michael Doctoroff, and Tim Boyle for joining us and speaking and bringing the partnership of Argano and Databricks closer together. And I want to thank all the attendees for joining today and taking your time out of the day to join us. Don't forget to follow Argano and Databricks both on LinkedIn. And if you have any other questions, feel free to reach out to us. We're happy to answer them. And please look out for the recording of this webinar in your inboxes. Other than that, I hope you all Have a great rest of your day. Thank you for joining.
Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right, thank you.